What is morally wrong can never be advantageous, even when it enables you to make some gain that you believe to be to your advantage. The mere act of believing that some wrongful course of action constitutes an advantage is pernicious. Life is nothing without friendship. So let this be the first and sacred law of friendship. Seek only the good from friends, do only good for the sake of friends, and don't wait to be asked. Be always attentive, banish hesitation, be ready to give advice freely. Take seriously the good advice of friends, be ready to offer it openly, even forcefully, if the occasion demands, and also be ready to follow when it's been offered. The process indeed of nature is this, that just in the same manner as our birth was the beginning of things with us, so death will be the end. And as we were no ways concerned with anything before we were born, so neither shall we be after we are dead. For what I lack in experience, I make up for in diligence. We forget our pleasures, we remember our sufferings. There is no doubt that a person who is called generous and open-handed has duty in mind, not gain. So likewise justice looks for no prize and no price. It is sought for itself, and it is at once the cause and meaning of all the virtues. Everyone has the obligation to ponder well his own specific traits of character. He must also regulate them adequately and not wonder whether someone else's traits might suit him better. The more definitely his own a man's character is, the better it fits him. What can be more delightful than to have someone to whom you can say everything with the same absolute confidence as to yourself? Justice looks for no prize and no price. It is sought for itself and is at once the cause and meaning of all virtues. The worst kind of injustice is to look for profit from injustice. We must stand up against old age and make up for its drawbacks by taking pains. We must fight it as we would an illness. We must look after our health, use moderate exercise, take just enough food and drink to recruit, but not to overload, our strength. Nor is it the body alone that must be supported, but the intellect and soul much more. Those who lack within themselves the means for living a blessed and happy life will find any age painful. No power is strong enough to be lasting if it labors under the weight of fear. But unfortunately, decent people are usually slow to act and ignore dangers until a crisis erupts. They are sluggish and willing to abide with peace without honor, but their own inaction causes them to lose both. A nation can survive its fools and even the ambitious, but it cannot survive treason from within. An enemy at the gates is less formidable, for he is known and carries his banner openly. But the traitor moves amongst those within the gate freely, his sly whispers rustling through all the alleys, heard in the very halls of government itself. As for you, my young friends, I urge you to strive for virtue, for without it, friendship cannot exist, and friendship, aside from virtue, is the greatest thing we can find in life. We don't practice generosity in order to secure gratitude, nor do we invest our gifts in the hope of a favorable return. Rather, it is nature that inclines us towards generosity. Just so, we don't seek friendship with an expectation of gain, but regard the feeling of love as its own reward. What is dishonorably got is dishonorably squandered. In communities and individuals alike, excessive freedom topples over into excessive slavery. Extreme freedom produces a tyrant, along with the extremely harsh and evil slavery that goes with him. Nobody can give you wiser advice than yourself. They who say that we should love our fellow citizens but not foreigners destroy the universal brotherhood of mankind, with which benevolence and justice would perish forever. I have always been of the opinion that unpopularity earned by doing what is right is not unpopularity at all, but glory. Just as apples, when unripe, are torn from trees, but when ripe and mellow drop down, so it is violence that takes life from young men, ripeness from old. This ripeness is so delightful to me that, as I approach nearer to death, I seem, as it were, to be sighting land, and to be coming to port at last, after a long voyage. For as I like a man in whom there is something of the old, so I like a man in whom there is something of the young. And he who follows this maxim, in body will possibly be an old man, but he will never be an old man in mind. The course of life cannot change. Nature has but a single path, and you travel it only once. Each stage of life has its own appropriate qualities: weakness in childhood, boldness in youth, seriousness in middle age, and maturity in old age. These are fruits that must be harvested in due season. Six mistakes mankind keeps making century after century: believing that personal gain is made by crushing others, worrying about things that cannot be changed or corrected, insisting that a thing is impossible because we cannot accomplish it, refusing to set aside trivial preferences, neglecting development and refinement of the mind, attempting to compel others to believe and live as we do.